Hello, my name is McKenna Douglas, and my research mentor who has monitored my progress over this past year is Jens Kreinert of the Department of Anthropology here at Wichita State. And my research has pertained to the destruction of cultural heritage sites and artifacts by the Islamic State. Now, I believe that the Islamic State has intentionally destroyed and targeted sites and artifacts, and within my research, I sought to understand how they think, how they operate, what motivates them, and essentially what their ideology is for destroying this cultural heritage. So in my research, I wanted to know the factors that influence ISIS members to ruin tangible history that people connect their identities, their ethnicities, and even their nationalities to. And just to let you know that cultural heritage is the legacy of a physical site, such as an archaeological site or a physical artifact that people connect their past generations and their ancestors to. So I hypothesize that ISIS members are carrying out their violent actions and destructions because they're following a specific ideology. And this ideology that they follow defines specific actions and behaviors that they're supposed to carry out as members of the Islamic State. And later on in this presentation, I'm going to discuss some of those key factors that tie in the ideology to ISIS's motivations for destroying the heritage sites and artifacts. So within my research, I couldn't exactly go up to or find an ISIS member and ask them because that would be kind of dangerous. So what I had to do was, for my methods, I had to perform a critical discourse analysis. And what that is finding past research and literature that surrounds this topic and find reoccurring themes and ideas and topics that I could take and compare and pull out new angles from those and trying to put forth new ideas to contribute to this topic of literature. And I essentially sought new angles to put these ideas out there for further thought and consideration in this topic. So the three topics I want to talk about in my presentation are how people are recruited into ISIS as an organization, because they can bring in normal, everyday people you would expect into following this specific ideology. Secondly, I want to talk about those principles of the ideology that ISIS leaders put on their recruits. And third, I want to talk about their motives. Now, with their destruction, they typically claim it's for religious purposes, basically as kind of an excuse. But in the background, there's other factors that are jumping out, such as economic and political. So you might ask, what are they really doing this for? Why is this destruction actually happening? So first, you might wonder, how does an everyday normal person get drawn into an organization with such religious extremism? Well, typically the demographic that they're looking for is younger, vulnerable people that are in the process of a social transition, they're forming their identity, and they're asking those questions of who are they, what are they meant to do, where are they meant to be, and essentially where do they belong in society. So they're kind of looking for an existential filler for their soul. And what they do is some of these people start asking questions and get into group chats and forums and meet other people that are asking these questions. And they bring these people in as recruits and start forming social bonds with each other and social relations, and they finally will become part of a group where they feel accepted and like a place that they belong in society. And with this forms a collective group identity, and these people will form as a group and follow an ideology that they adhere to. And within this, they'll find acceptance for themselves. So the second topic I wanted to talk about are these concepts that ISIS leaders have derived from the Quran and Muslim literature as well. And what they do is they take these concepts and they distort them to fit their needs and essentially justify the destruction that they're doing of cultural heritage sites. So the first one, the Tawhid al-Hakimiyya, is the concept that there is only one God, who is Allah, and the Prophet Muhammad is his messenger. And Allah acts as the legislator and the lawgiver to all of Muslim society, and they are supposed to respect him as the only one. The second one, the Tawhid, is the rejection of idols and false gods, and that's essentially saying that Allah is the only one to be revered and worshipped and nothing else, and that anything else that could be considered an icon or an image that's worshipped needs to be destroyed. And this kind of derives from the story of Muhammad the Prophet. He went into the Kaaba, which is the big black cube in the middle of the Mecca Mosque, and he found it full of idols, and that was basically a big no-no. So he had to go and destroy them, and they took this story and translated it into the concept, the Tawhid. And they believe that Western culture is a big bad enemy for them, because in Western culture, there's lots of images and icons and what the ISIS members might consider idols, and they believe a lot of Westerners are following these and worshiping these, so they seek to destroy those. And especially in the government, they believe there's lots of images and idols that are worshipped, like a president or even the act of voting, so they seek to destroy that as well. And the third concept, the al-walabara, is loyalty and disavowal for Allah. So it's essentially following on Allah's path of loving and hating everything that He loves and hates, and following those guidelines. So the third topic I wanted to talk about are those motives. So while the Islamic State is claiming that they're destroying these heritage sites for religious purposes, the other factors that are jumping out are the economic and political. So while they are claiming they're targeting and destroying these sites for religious purposes, they're saying that they're trying to prevent the spread of shirk. And shirk is idolatry, and they believe that the West, or the Western culture, is spreading these idols and these images, so they seek to wipe that out and destroy it. But at the same time, while they're destroying these sites, they're looting them and taking artifacts and paintings and reliefs and sculptures, and they're putting these on the black market and selling these to buyers. And some have even suggested that they target specific sites based on what their black market buyers are looking for. On the other hand, they are also spreading to social media as a platform to get their political messages out there, that the West is their enemy, the spreader of shirk. And what they'll do is they'll go onto YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, even Twitter, and they'll send over 90,000 messages a day to different people who could be potential recruits, or even just putting new statuses and hashtags out there. And within social media, especially on Twitter, they will do something that's called hijacking hashtags. So they'll take trending hashtags or even things that are very popular, and people will use that as kind of a clickbait. So people will click on there and they will find their messages that they're putting out, and basically trying to get attention to whatever campaign or messages they're trying to put out to the West as their enemy. So in conclusion, I found the Islamic State members are partaking in their violence and destruction of heritage sites because they're following an ideology. And that ideology has those three concepts. And there are more, but those are the three main ones that Islamic leaders have distorted to fit their excuses for destroying sites. Those being the Tawhid al-Hakamara, the Tawhid, and the al-Walabara. And the members are supposed to follow those to the T. And while they are claiming their destruction is for religious purposes, it may not be so religious after all, because there are economic and political motives at the same time. There are my references.